And today's data showing a hot jobs market would usually be a positive sign for the sitting president, but rising interest rates are getting in the way of Biden calling it a success. Shock rise of more than 300,000 jobs last month saw Treasury yields reaching 5% today, many expecting further rate hikes next month. Rick Newman, senior reporter at Yahoo Finance, joins us now. So it's bad news for Biden, Rick?
Biden correctly says all the time there's been record job growth during his administration. That's true. And voters are giving him no credit for it. And I don't think today's going to make any difference. I mean, it's like there's always something else that is bumming people out. For a while, obviously, it was inflation. Real incomes have not been keeping up with prices. And now look what's happening in the bond market. Most voters don't follow the intricacies of the bond market. But we've been talking about it a lot, and this is fairly serious. I mean, because interest rates are creeping up more than would be suggested by what the Fed is doing with short-term rates. So we've now got the 10-year Treasury closing in on 5%. Mortgage rates are up to 7.5%. That is the highest in 23 years. This means other types of consumer borrowing costs are going to go up. And this may be, I mean, the bond market doesn't explain exactly why it does what it does, and everybody's trying to figure this out. But this may have something to do with that gargantuan pile of U.S. debt, which is really has been flooding into the bond market for the last several years. And maybe that is part of the reason that interest rates are going up. So the question is this the beginning of something terrible, or is this just a blip that will resolve itself? We don't know. But I looked at President Biden's approval rating today. It is now drifted under 40%. If you look at the aggregate of polls, it's around 38 or 39%. That's bad going into a re-election campaign. And that is despite a terrifically strong job market. Biden just is not catching a break here.
So, Rick, let's switch gears here, because I saw a story today and I thought to myself, I need Rick's response to this story. So here's the story, Rick, from Politico. They say LinkedIn co-founder Reid Hoffman convened a Zoom call, Rick, with other like-minded donors, and they wanted to address a persistent fear among national Democrats. That's Politico's words. And the fear is, Rick, third-party candidates who could undercut Joe Biden's campaign. So we're talking here again about, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., if he was deciding to run as an independent, or Cornel West. How much of a threat do you think that is to Biden, Rick?
Listen, everybody in the Democratic Party either remembers or knows that Ralph Nader's run as an independent candidate in the year 2000 may have cost Al Gore the election by taking just enough votes in Florida to give that over to George W. Bush. So this is not a concern about the Democratic primaries. Nobody has a challenge for Biden in the Democratic primaries. But if there is a candidate in the general election who could get 1% of the vote or less. I mean, we have swing states that decide the entire national presidential election these days that are determined by less than 1% of the voters. And if a candidate there gets less than 1% and all of it comes from Biden, or more of it comes from Biden than his opponent, Donald Trump or whoever it would be, that could turn the state and the whole election against Biden. So it really does come down to what seem like infinitesimal numbers of votes. Now, there was some good news for Biden this week, which is that Cornel West said he's not going to run with a party, which would be something like the Libertarian Party or the Green Party. Those parties, whoever the candidate is, they tend to get a little bit of the vote because they're sort of like established third parties. He's not going to go that route. He's going to just run as an independent, which analysts think is good news for Biden because it's less likely that people will vote for him because he doesn't belong to a party. Same with RFK Jr. So those are favorable developments for Biden. But look, the Biden campaign and everybody who wants Biden to win, they are going to be on this like a hawk to make sure there is this small, no openings for some kind of squeak or surprise win by whoever Biden ends up running against.
Rick, always love having you on. Have a great weekend.
Bye, guys. You too.